The carousel is moving, spinning, continuing to turn as we're on the air right now, so maybe we'll update this in the future. However, I think it's probably the best time for us, with most of the movement, a lot of the big jobs here kind of settled, to tier these coaching hires. The way we've explained this before when we have done this exercise with other topics, how I'm processing these coaching hires thus far. Now, I'll start at the top. You know who won the carousel is LSU. They hired Lane Kiffin. And if I sound like I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, I'm not. Everyone and their mama threw a bag at Lane Kiffin to try to get him to their school. Now, that part maybe is hyperbolic, but you hear where I'm coming from. Florida wanted him. Ole Miss obviously wanted him. LSU clearly wanted him and got him. It sounds like there was a fourth mystery program, according to Lane Kiffin, that was in the sweepstakes. I'm just going to go ahead and assume everyone wanted Lane Kiffin. LSU, though, you got him. And it's not just the fact that you got the guy that everyone else wanted. It's the fact that you got the guy that brings everything that you need to your football program. What have we said before? LSU, they were lacking personality, lacking edge, lacking a swagger. That's Lane Kiffin. They were lacking offensive firepower, quite frankly, from what I saw this past season, even though they made moves in the offseason to be a force to be reckoned with on the field. It wasn't that. Lane Kiffin provides a shot in the arm in that respect. It also feels like it gives you more juice for a brand if you're LSU, bringing in the cool factor with Lane Kiffin. So all in all, Lane Kiffin, exactly what you needed for LSU. Everyone else wanted his services. LSU, congratulations. You won the carousel, not just optically, but I think in terms of what you actually needed in a head coach. So congratulations. You won the carousel, LSU. Now, for me, this next category, the personality of these head coaches that were hired is what makes me believe, and that's Alex Golesh at Auburn and John Summerall at Florida. The reason why I tier these two guys together, I look at Auburn's roster, look at Florida's roster. Now, the portal gives, the portal takes, but as it stands right now, both those rosters are a lot better than what their record shows. I mean, how many times we talked about Cam Coleman and the need to give him the football, and what Florida has in the line of scrimmage, and the backfield and Jaden Ball, when he can, there's so much in-house at both those spots. What I'm looking at with what those schools needed to hire was a personality that was going to elevate you on Saturday. Elevate you in a spot where it's chips are stacked, fourth quarter, we got to go find a way to win a football game. That's what Florida had, been lacking, I believe, at the head coaching spot. And then Auburn, to the tune of losing 6 one-score games, they were obviously lacking that themselves. So Alex Golesh, John Summerall, both a little bit more juice, a little bit more fiery for what you need on the sideline. This is not to speak ill of Hugh Freeze or Billy Napier. They just weren't that. But the roster itself, should you activate it properly and activate the culture properly, you can do a lot of damage at both those schools with what you have. So the personality for both Alex Golesh and John Summerall is what has me believing, because it's not about talent at Florida or Auburn. Now, this next tier, I have affectionately called Floor 86 of the Empire State Building. You know what that is? That's a high floor. You know who I think made two of the most high-floor hires from this past carousel? Matt Campbell and James Franklin. Now, make no mistake, Penn State hired Matt Campbell to go win a national championship. And as of right now, I don't have a strong feel on him being the guy to go get that done for you. But I do have a strong feel on Matt Campbell and Penn State not falling into irrelevance together. I think Matt Campbell, from a culture perspective, from a evaluation and development perspective, what Iowa State was before he got there and what they were when he left, I get it feels a little bit weird that he left Ames because we're so used to seeing him in those colors. But, Matt Campbell, what he did for Iowa State football, making them a team that's consistently in that, upper tier of the Big 12, what they were before he got there, it was losing season after losing season. He elevated Iowa State. You can elevate Iowa State, I believe, in what you can do at a place like Penn State. Now, for James Franklin, all he did was win 10 games a year at Penn State. It's funny we tier these two together, but, legitimately, we talked so much about his ability to recruit the DMV area, which is right where Virginia Tech is. I think that, again, I don't know if the ACC is going to be a team that's consistently putting national title contenders into the college football playoff, but if it's about getting to the college football playoff for Virginia Tech, I think James Franklin, more often than not, will put you in that conversation in the month of November. So, again, not calling my shot for either one of these guys to go bring home the ultimate hardware, but I think the floor for both those hires is extremely high. Now, this is probably my favorite tier we have, because I think it probably most articulates how I feel about it, or these coaches, rather. This next tier is, I like the coach more than I like the job. And that's Will Stein, it's Bob Chesney, that's Tosh Lupoi. Tosh Lupoi, obviously, at Cal, Bob Chesney at UCLA, and Will Stein at Kentucky. I don't know that we're going to learn a lot about any one of those guys as a head coach to the tune of them making the college football playoff. Like, the ACC is wide open, I suppose, and Kentucky, should they have some firepower behind them with Will Stein, this like elite offense, maybe things change. But I don't know that any one of those jobs I would have, me personally, jumped for. Like UCLA, we talked for, I don't know how long when that job opened up about how it wasn't one of the best jobs on the carousel and how you had to be a specific kind of personality, specific kind of person in a specific spot in your career to go take the UCLA job. It's the second best job in the city of Los Angeles, quite frankly. That's not a great vibe. And also to add into that, like the guys that are in Southern California that can play ball at a high level, they're fielding not just offers from USC, fielding offers from Oregon. If you're really good in Southern California, the big brands from other places across the country, like a Texas and the southeastern region, will come after you. So for UCLA and Bob Chesney, I think he's a phenomenal coach. Same thing I could say for Will Stein and Tosh LaPoy, but the jobs themselves, I'm not super juiced up about what they can be. So if they go out and do great things, I would love that, and I'd be here for that, but I think the job itself is a little bit limiting while I believe in the head coach and what they can be here going forward in all three of those guys. The boom potential tiers, next one I want to talk about. I got Brian Hartline at USF, Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State, and Colin Klein going from A&M to Kansas State. Let's start with Hartline. The upside there for me with him is massive. He's taken over a somewhat furnished apartment in the USF roster. He also has made a living, literally made a living recruiting the state of Florida, specifically now recruiting South Florida. So Brian Hartline, he's walking in as the head coach day one. A lot of warm handshakes from my guy when it comes to talking to high school coaches and getting in their good graces to have conversations with potential recruits. I also think, quite frankly, the Ohio State branding behind him is going to move the needle when it comes to retaining talent and also going on adding talent. I think where he comes from matters when it comes to Brian Hartline, his reputation. So I think there's a ton of upside there. Maybe the floor is also pretty low, but, you're at USF, all here for Brian Hartline taking a swing. Pat Fitzgerald making Northwestern one of the most consistent things in the Big Ten. Like, Pat Fitzgerald had 3 10-win seasons at Northwestern. Give him the Nobel Peace Prize for that. Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State, maybe it's not going to be a ready-made situation right off the bat, but I love that hire because of everything that I know about him in the Big Ten Conference, doing more with less from his days at Northwestern. And then Colin Klein, he literally has crushed it everywhere he's been. The fact that he was like the seemingly first man up for the Kansas State job when Chris Klieman retired, I love everything about that. I love what he did this year for A&M's offense. I think he'll take that over to Kansas State. Also, we say this too, he's a guy that gets the place he's going to. And I don't know how crucial it is for a Kansas State. Doesn't hurt, though. Does not hurt. The Big 12, extremely winnable. I think Colin Klein at Kansas State will be phenomenal. So boom potential here for all three of those candidates. Now, this is a one-coach tier, and it is the we all agree ... tier. I'll leave the ... there for suspense, but the tier here is we all agree this is going to work really well, right? And that's Billy Napier at James Madison. Here's what I admire about Billy Napier. He took a joke about him at Florida. Everyone's talking about him being, quote-unquote, Sun Belt Billy, which essentially paints the idea that he wasn't cut out for the job at Florida because of where he came from. So he says, you know what? You can call me Sun Belt Billy. How about I go back to the Sun Belt and run things at JMU? Say what you want about what he did at Florida. My guy was 40-12 in 4 years at the Sun Belt. 2 conference titles. Say Sun Belt Billy all you want. Now it's a compliment when you speak about Billy Napier. All right, so him at James Madison, I am all the way here for him flipping the script on the narrative around him as a head coach because we operate so much off of recency bias and vibes and what he didn't do at Florida. He's going to crush it at James Madison. And I think everyone that takes a half second to evaluate him as a head coach at that job, a team that's going to play for the college football playoff here, or that's in the college football playoff rather already, I like that situation a lot for a one Billy Napier. Now this last tier is a tier where we all have to circle up. Deep breath in, deep breath out. College football, everyone likes to have a hot take. Everyone likes to be the first to Twitter to make a punchline and have a snap decision and all those things. It's okay to not know about these coaches. That's the tier. It's okay to not know if Ryan Silverfield's going to be a home run at Arkansas, or if Eric Morris is going to be great at Oklahoma State, or if you're going to have Pete Golding crushing it at Ole Miss. It's okay to not know because, quite frankly, there's not a lot to go off of there. Like Ryan Silverfield, I get why Arkansas fans weren't super fired up about the name compared to other names being thrown around for that job during the search, but it's not a ton of bad, not a ton of good to go off of for him. He was consistent at Memphis. He's only coached one place. It's okay to not have a super strong take on a one Ryan Silverfield coming over from Memphis. Eric Morris, fun offense, lit it up for North Texas this year. But at the same time, like 22-16 in 3 years as an FBS head coach, it's okay to not know. Pete Golding's never been a head coach before. Kind of felt like he was almost backed into being the head coach in Oxford. And I'm all the way here for Ole Miss making that move, but I just want to make sure we get out in front of this. It's okay to not have a definitive take, positively or negatively, for any of those 3 coaches. So that's how we're processing these coaching hires. The carousel was won by LSU. Personality between Summerall and Golish, I'm excited about. Makes me believe in Florida and Auburn. High floor for Campbell and James Franklin, much like the 86th floor of the Empire State Building. I like the coaches more than the jobs when it comes to Wilstein at Kentucky, Chesney at UCLA, and Lapoy at Cal. And then I think there's a lot of boom potential with Heartland at USF, Fitzgerald at Michigan State, and Colin Klein at Kansas State. Billy Napier's going to work at James Madison. We all know that. We all feel that way for those of us paying attention. And then those 3 individuals I mentioned with Silverfield, Morris, and Golding, we don't know enough about them. And that's more than okay to admit at this point in the game when it comes to those carousel hires. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section, how you feel about those hires, and maybe what tiers you would create for yourself when it comes to sorting out the most recent hires in the wild world that is college football.